Welcome back for another video. So FPL is officially live for 2024-25. There's quite a lot of surprises this season. We've got Palmer with the biggest price rise of all time, Haaland the most expensive player of all time by some margin. In this one I'm going to run through my first team of the season. If you're new around here, hit subscribe, it's completely free and I'll be posting short and sweet FPL content every game week all season. I made the mistake of agreeing to get the Focal logo tattooed if I hit 200,000 subscribers as well, so that's the season goal. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Starting off in goal, and it's Sales from Forest, home to Bournemouth in Gameweek 1. I know what you might be thinking with this pick. They came 17th in the Premier League last season and they barely avoided relegation. They did start the season off horrendously, and then Nuno came in at exactly the halfway mark in Gameweek 19, and he did shore them up defensively. After he took charge, they were actually 4th best in the league for expected goals conceded, which is quite surprising. So for 4.5 mil, he's got the potential in my eyes, given the solid opening fixtures as well, or if he loses his spot, then Turner's his 4 mil backup. Moving on to the defence, which is Mykolenko, Burn and Vardiol. Mykolenko comes in at surprising 4.5 mil when Branthwaite and Tarkowski both 5 mil. Add to that the fact that Mykolenko actually put up a better points per match than the centre-backs last season. Everton are home to Brighton in Gameweek 1. I like to have as many home fixtures as possible to start the season, to hopefully start on the front foot. Everton's 13 clean sheets last season can only be beaten by Arsenal's 16th, so it's a potential gem for 4.5 mil left back, and it does have an attacking return in him. Newcastle have got a solid opening home fixture as well, up against newly promoted Southampton. Last season completely fell apart for Newcastle due to so many injuries mainly, but they've had a good rest now and they're going to get the transfer window to make the right signings. Botman and Lascelles are injured till the end of the year, so they might sign a centre-back, or failing that, Burn can play centre-back or even left-back. He's always been a favourite of Eddie Howe. Another potential handy asset for 4.5 mil. There's absolutely loads of great options for 4.5 mil this season, and there's quite a few 4 mil defenders that will start. Not something we're used to in FPL over the years. Completing the back three is Vardiol. The 6 mil defender slot's quite tricky. It's Vardiol, Gabriel, Saliba. Arsenal were the best defence last season, no one kept more clean sheets. However, given there's additional BPS for shooting from this season onwards, Vardiol's in. Last season, Vardiol took a shot every 72 minutes, which was among the best in the league for defenders. Porro and Trent were the top two, and they could be gems for 7 mil and 5.5 mil as well. Interestingly, Vardiol scored 4.4 points per match on average, and he only started putting up serious numbers in the second half of the season after he'd settled in and Pep had worked out his best role. Plays like a left winger at times, and his 4.4 points per match actually higher than Saliba and Gabriel with 4.3 and 4.1. Let me know in the comments which premium defender or defenders have you gone for. On to the midfield, which is Saka, Salah, Palmer and Gordon. So a new change to FPL this season is players get +1 BPS for every foul they concede and +2 BPS for every shot on target. If you're not aware, BPS is bonus point system, and players get awarded BPS for actions in every game, and then whoever finishes each match with the highest BPS gets awarded 3, 2 or 1 bonus points. I came across a great table by Mark Southerns calculating how player BPS would have differed last season based on these changes, so I replicated it to play around with the data myself, and here's the outcome. I'll link it down in the comments as well if you want access to the spreadsheet. So it's sorted by the additional BPS column, and Foden comes out on top, who would have received an additional 156 BPS last season, and Haaland an additional 145, Saka 143. The rows I've highlighted green are the players I'm particularly interested in. Saka, Salah, Gordon and Palmer high up on the list, and that's the midfield 4 I'm running with here. Salah gets the captain armband, away to Ipswich in Gameweek 1. The only player to return 200 plus points in 7 consecutive seasons in FPL history, the FPL GOAT. It's a new era under Slot now after Klopp departing, so it's a bit of a question mark in terms of how they fare. But based on Slot's tactical setup at Feyenoord, he might line up as an inside forward and he could thrive. He's had the summer off as well. There's been some concern that Saka might miss Gameweek 1, having played all the way through the Euros and the final. I personally don't see it, and I expect Arteta to start him in Gameweek 1, and it is another home fixture to Wolves. Obviously in Saka's case, he will be back to training later though. He was 4th for points last season, which has resulted in a price increase to 10 mil. However, I still think he's well worth picking up despite the new price tag. Odegaard's an interesting one, he's only 8.5 mil. I can see it being a popular alternative if you want to buy into the Arsenal attack and save some money. Speaking of price rises, Palmer gets the biggest price rise in FPL history, up from 5 mil to 10.5 mil. You could argue that all the pens he took was a massive factor in how highly he scored last season. But in reality, even without the penalties, he's still in the top percentiles for non-penalty goals, XG, shots, assists and some other metrics. He did score 9 penalties last season, 5 points per goal, so even if you take away all the penalty points away, he's still pushing 200 points. So I actually think 10.5 mil is a smart price. It is expensive and it's a tough Gameweek 1 fixture against City, but I can see him living up to the price tag. A new coach, Maresca, is definitely going to build a team around him. Gordon was a hero for me last season. I picked him up in Gameweek 7 and didn't look back for the rest of the season. 11 goals, 16 assists for 27 returns and 34 starts. Basically never blanked in a home fixture. 7.5 mil, lower than I expected for 183 points. And they're a force at St James's Park, so I'll definitely have at least one Newcastle attacker come Gameweek 1. Moving on to the front three, and this might shock some of you. It's João Pedro, Isak and Watkins. No Haaland. I'm by no means settled on this, but in my eyes, having Haaland plus Salah hurts the team balance way too much. And even if you get Haaland and not Salah, which forward do I lose here? João Pedro is going to be a needed enabler. And let's say I lose Isak, I still need to find 2.5 mil somewhere. So suddenly it's a 6 mil midfielder in Salah's place. There'd need to be a serious gem emerging pre-season at 6 mil or less to even consider it. Salah and Isak on paper should score much higher than someone like Hudson-Odoi and Haaland, or Nkunku and Haaland if you can find another 0.5 mil. I'd love to know what you think about Haaland though, coming in at 15 mil. Is that the right price? Are you getting him? Don't get me wrong, the thought of going without Haaland in Gameweek 2, home to Ipswich as well, is quite scary, but imagine the number of Haaland owners won't have Salah for the Ipswich game in Gameweek 1. And at the time of recording, Haaland's about 25 to 30% ownership, which is low enough not to have meaningful impact on rank as well, if you like to play the ownership game. So João Pedro comes in at 5.5 mil. They might have got this one wrong considering that Cunha's 6.5 mil and Vissa's 6 mil and Wood is 6 mil. He's on penalties for Brighton, and if he can nail down a place, he'll be a ridiculous value. Hudson-Odoi is a midfielder I'm keeping an eye on as well. He scored 8 times last season, and he's also 5.5 mil, and he could be the way to go for a possible switch to 3-5-2, if João Pedro is looking like too much of a risk come Gameweek 1. Only Haaland had a higher points per match than Watkins last season. Haaland was 7 points per match, and Watkins was 6.2. Isak in third, by the way, with 5.7 points per game. Another reason I currently like no Haaland more, as these two are 6 mil and 6.5 mil cheaper with a similar points per game. FPL is all about squeezing as much value out of a player as possible, and Haaland's the worst value player in the game at the moment, however perhaps the most explosive. I do think they nailed Haaland's pricing though, he is a template breaker that's for sure. Another big change this season is that we're allowed up to 5 free transfers, historically it's always been 2. So in a perfect world, I'd like to roll for the first few game weeks, but you really need to get really lucky and nail your starting team, which rarely happens. If I can get to Game Week 4 or 5 with 3 free transfers, then it's easy enough to shake the team up if no Haaland looks like a mistake. Moving on to the bench, which is Turner, Anderson, Harwood-Bellis and Dendoncker. Turner's the Forest backup keeper, so it's basically a case of having the cheapest possible guaranteed starting keeper for 8.5 mil total. If we're lucky, perhaps one of the 4 mil keepers becomes first choice in pre-season, or failing that, I'll be looking to have a 4.5 mil keeper and their backup in Sales and Turner. Anderson for 4.5 mil is a great price. He's got far more goal threat than Gueye. He got almost half the minutes per XGI last season, 2 goals, 3 assists. Harwood-Bellis played 40 times in the Championship for Southampton, so that's why he's in the team, and they've just signed him on a permanent deal. He was on loan. He actually scored twice and he got a few assists as well. There are a bunch of 4 mil nailed defenders this season, perhaps to help counteract the rises to Haaland, Saka and Palmer etc, so I need to work out which one's the best 4 mil defender. I'm not expecting much from Dendoncker, so he'll be last on the bench every week. It doesn't look like there's actually a single 4.5 mil midfielder that's going to be a regular starter that I've seen right now anyway. Perhaps gets a bit more minutes now that Douglas Luiz has left Villa, but they'll sign a replacement. So that's my first team. I'm buzzing to have FPL back at last. If you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe for loads more FPL content to come. I'll read every comment, so leave one below. See you soon for the next one.